Hey, I'm Lauren from TastyPC.tv, and so we're taking a look at the new Ducky Mini, which is 60% keyboard with Cherry MX switches, and each switch has got a dual colour red and blue LED. I was lucky enough to get one of the first few samples in the UK to review, which is pretty cool, but also this is the first time that I've ever taken a look at 60% keyboard before. So let's get started. So looking straight at the Ducky Mini itself, you can see that we've got a very different frame, so a typical kind of black plasticky, kind of, old school looking, very standard OEM frame that we're used to from Ducky. And basically we've still got this black plastic frame, but it's kind of sandwiched in between two sheets of aluminium, which does give the keyboard a very sturdy feel. I mean, it feels like it's got excellent build quality for it. It's got no flex to it at all, but it's also, feels a lot heavier for it. But with this keyboard, in terms of appearance, now, whenever I've seen it in photos, I don't think you can clearly see that it is aluminium, and therefore I feel like in photos, the frame looks like it's just kind of big and plasticky, which, isn't particularly fantastic. But then when you see it in real life and you can clearly see the texture of it and you can clearly see that it's aluminium, it is such a sleek and beautiful keyboard. Like, photos really don't do it justice at all. And, it actually has a really minimalistic, clean look to it, which the photos definitely don't portray. But, it's obviously going to have it, given that, it's just a sheet of aluminium with some keys. And I have to say, actually, the bottom of the keyboard is the cleanest bottom of a keyboard that I've ever seen. I mean, you've just got these 4 little rubber pads for grip on like a black plastic base, and that is it, But the keyboard is available in either silver or gunmetal grey, and I've got the silver version, which, from what I can currently see under the studio lights, the colour of it really does just pop, and it looks so nice, and it has this really kind of like bold, like statement, eye-catchy look. I imagine that the gunmetal grey version will probably be a lot more subtle, and therefore it will probably play up more to the kind of minimalistic clean look and kind of accentuate that more. So I can probably imagine a lot more people drifting towards the gunmetal grey version rather than the silver version, which definitely has kind of, like a more kind of glamorous look to it, I think. But you might notice the connector wasn't at the bottom, and that is because it's on the side up here. And I'm kind of in two minds about this. I find that whenever I get a keyboard with a detachable cable with the idea that you're moving the keyboard around a lot, I find that if it's got cable management channels, sometimes it's so fiddly to get the cable in and you have to come in at such an angle that it can be quite time consuming, and I do worry about the connector getting damaged or broken. So then I find that if I am moving the keyboard around, I'll just leave the cable plugged in on this side, which obviously then means there's a chance that while I'm moving it around it could get pulled or something, and then, the connector will get damaged. So it's just kind of like a lose-lose situation. Whereas having this where you can just plug it in on the side very easily, it's that easy to plug in, it's that easy to unplug, it's very quick. You don't have to kind of fiddle or try and get the connector in at a weird angle. It's, I think for that reason it's going to be a lot better moving it around. However, on the negative side, it also means then that it's more likely to be damaged because you've got this connector stuck out at the side rather than kind of tucked away under the keyboard where, it's safe. Also, I don't think it looks as nice. Rather than just seeing a cable, you've now got a cable and a connector. And then also, if you buy a custom cable, because obviously, the big thing about mechanical keyboards is customization, you're probably going to have to buy a right-angled adapter, which is probably not going to look particularly fantastic. Or you're going to have the cable going off to the left, where, unless your PC's on the left, it might look a little bit silly. But the cable is black and it's mini USB to USB, and we've got this little Velcro strap with a Ducky logo on it. Now obviously, this keyboard being mechanical, you can get it with either Cherry MX Blue or Cherry MX Red switches, and then later in the year it's supposed to also be available with either Cherry MX Browns or Cherry MX Blacks. And I've got the version with Cherry MX Blue switches. Now, whenever I do a keyboard review, I often get feedback saying that I need to talk more about what the keyboard feels to type on. And obviously, well, that's partially down to, the keycaps, how the switch is mounted, and various other things. That's mainly down to what switches you use. And as I'm using a Cherry MX, as I've got Cherry MX Blue switches, it feels to type on like typing on Cherry MX Blue switches. When you press the button, you've got this like satisfying tactile click. And while I probably prefer for it to be Cherry MX Browns and would probably enjoy the typing experience more because, my favourite colour of Cherry MX switches is browns, that's the thing, because that's why I never really go into it, because what might be an excellent typing experience for me might, be a rubbish one for you, and it really does come down to personal opinion on that, I think. But keycaps are ABS, the lettering is lasered, and it does use cherry stabilizers. But the keyboard comes with a keypad puller, so if I just pull off one of the keycaps for you, so you can see the Cherry MX Blue switch. And you've also got a dual colour LED, and I will talk more about the lighting when, I've got the keyboard plugged in and turned on. But if I just let you hear the difference between the keys with just switches and the ones with both switches and stabilisers, both completely bottoming out and just, hitting the actuation point. I should probably quickly mention, before I get it plugged in, that it does have NK rollover, so you can face plant it and it will successfully register all the keys. You've also got a dual layer PCB, an ARM Cortex M3 processor, and a 1000 Hz response time. So being a 60% keyboard, you do lose the separate function, numlock and arrow keys. However, if you hit FN, then you do still have function, arrow, and even some media keys. And WASD, like this, will allow you to control your mouse cursor, and like Q and E is left click and right click, and R and F is a scroll wheel, which will be pretty handy if you're using it with something like a home theatre PC. But with this keyboard, it doesn't actually come with any software, so you change the LEDs and the function of some of the keys manually by holding FN and Alt to get to this kind of setup layer. And all of these control the LEDs apart from H, which is the one that allows you to change the function of some of the keys. And the keyboard does come with some extra keycaps. So for example, if you change the function of the caps lock key to either Control or FN, then you're able to change the keycap so that it accurately portrays what the key now does. But basically, to change the function on the keys, just hold FN, Alt and H for a few seconds, and then you get to this kind of menu. Now you can press Q to quit out. You can change the function of the escape. You can change the function of the caps to either Control or FN. You can change the backspace, make it delete. You can change the location of FN, or make two keys FN, so make one along here and one along here. Or with the M key, what it will do is it will allow you to change, so either Q is mouse left click and E is mouse right click when you've got FN held, or it's the opposite way around, Q is right click and E is left click. So basically, if I want to change the function of escape, press FN, Alt and H to get back to that menu, and then press escape, and escape's got three modes. I can either press 1 and keep it as like it is now, press 2 and it will be set up like this, press 3 and it will be set up like this. So press 3 and obviously I can change the keycap, and it's really that simple to set up the different functions. One thing that I should probably also mention, because there's always a bit of confusion whenever I do a keyboard review, is I'm currently looking at what I think is a Nordic region keyboard, as I've got these kind of symbol keys, but if you buy this keyboard, you will get the correct region keyboard for you, or the correct region layout for you. So if you're an American, you buy this keyboard, you will get the long shift key and the short enter, don't worry. So moving on to the keyboard's lighting, each of the switches has got a dual colour red and blue LED. Now, due to the fact that Corsair currently have exclusivity with RGB Cherry MX Switch mechanical keyboards, and given that later in the year they're going to be releasing both an RGB K70 and K95, I can imagine that there'll be those of you out there who are disappointed that this isn't an RGB keyboard. However, what you have to kind of take into consideration is, well, yes, they're making an RGB K70 and K95. Those are both, full-sized, very big keyboards, whereas from what I currently know, Corsair aren't going to be releasing a 60% RGB mechanical keyboard or even a 10 keyless RGB mechanical keyboard. In fact, at the moment, they don't even make a single colour LED 10 keyless mechanical keyboard or 60% mechanical keyboards at all. So, given that this is a 60% mechanical keyboard with Cherry MX switches where you can choose the individual colour of each LED from red all the way through pink and purple to blue, it's pretty epic, and definitely should be kind of put down or disregarded, given that 60% of full-size keyboards are kind of in different classes. Also, those of you who in kind of the minority of people who wouldn't be happy with having keyboard backlighting that's either red, blue, or kind of a purpley colour, Ducky does make it sound like eventually they may be releasing different colour versions, so maybe one day you'll be able to pick up a green or blue version, which means that you could have green backlighting or kind of a turquoise or cyan colour, which would be pretty sweet. But anyway, there are 9 different lighting modes. This is the first one, which is 100% backlit, where all the keys are backlit apart from caps lock when you're not using it, and they're all the same colour. And you can choose what colour this is by hitting FN Alt and then either Z or X. X controls the amount of blue and Z controls the amount of red. So at the moment it's on the brightest blue, but obviously there's like 8 different brightnesses, so if I go through them for you, and then that's the blue on its brightest, and then Z is red. It's probably worth mentioning that red on its brightest is a lot dimmer than blue on its brightest, which is kind of sad because I'm most likely to have the keyboard's LEDs either red or, you know, kind of pinky. But obviously this allows you to, you know, mix match and, you know, go for like a purpley colour or a pinky colour, or, you know, just to choose a colour you like, because, you know, at the moment I've currently got a keyboard with pink backlighting. But if you can also hit FN Alt and C to just kind of reset the colour. But anyway, if you then go FN Alt and G, you change in the lighting modes. So I'm now in reactive lighting, where when you press the key, the LED lights up. And I really do love reactive lighting modes, because especially when you're using it at night, obviously when you're typing in the dark, it makes it like this like light coming from your fingertips, which is always very cool. Although something I always say whenever I look at mechanical keyboard with reactive lighting is I wish they do like the opposite, where all of the keys are lit up apart from the ones you press, they like turn off for a bit, because I think that, you know, when you're using it during the day, obviously the LEDs aren't as bright because it's daytime and they're kind of blocked by your finger if you know you're typing kind of, you know, but that would be cool. But anyway, so there's 2 different reactive lighting modes. This is the first one where you can decide what colour the keys light up. So once again, hit FN Alt and then you control it with these 2, although it only shows you on these ones, which makes it quite kind of difficult to do. Although one thing I did actually notice is that if you do it, like for example, I've currently got it in pink. It's pink for a few seconds, and then I don't know if you can see that, it very quickly fades to red for a few seconds, which is kind of cool. If I like have a go trying to make a more kind of obvious colour of it. So for example, let's try that. So yeah, do you see it kind of slowly fades to red before turning off, which is quite cool. And then if you have it like primarily blue, it will like fade to blue for a few seconds before turning off too. But anyway, press FN Alt and G to get to the next lighting mode, which is kind of multicolour reactive lighting, which I love, because then it's like multicoloured light at your fingertips. Stuff like this will keep me entertained for hours, like trying to guess what colour's going to come next. So let's go red. Oh, kind of pinky. It's closer to red than blue. But then after that, the next one is Raindrop, which I really love this mode. I think this is very pretty. But obviously, given the red is a lot dimmer than the blue, that's kind of a lot more noticeable, I think, with this one. After that, we've then got kind of, what do we call it, wave? Yeah, waving. Then after that, we've got dim. Now, I do actually really love this one because it's like, I find that while most lighting profiles, they're kind of very flashy and kind of like a light show, this is one of the few that I think is actually quite relaxing, and I think it'd be perfect to just have on if you're kind of chilling at your PC, just kind of, you know, taking 5, maybe like browsing the web or doing something in a game, kind of, I don't know, like outfitting your ship in Eve or something that's just kind of, you know, where you're just kind of relaxing for a bit. It's very nice, and I imagine that. And there's kind of very few lighting modes where I can actually like have them on if I was gaming and it wouldn't glare me out or distract me. And they're always kind of the slowly pulsating ones, like this one. And if I was going to be using this keyboard at full time, or, you know, if it was going to be my primary keyboard, this is actually probably how I'd have the lighting permanently. I really do like this mode, but it does like slowly cycle through red to blue. Then after that, we have got fully like turn off in case you don't want the backlit on. And then you've also got one where if you hold FN and space for a bit, it goes into the kind of this like one where I suppose if you had it like on a shop floor or something, where it kind of spells out Ducky and then pulsates for a bit, but a bit faster than before, and then kind of waves for a bit, which I imagine would be kind of funky to just, you know, have it on randomly. But yeah, so if it starts waving in a second. Here you go, it started wave now. And then lastly, you've got one where obviously you can change the individual colour of each of the LEDs. So if I just get her to stop doing that. Okay, so you've got two different profiles for this. Profile 1, which if you can get to pressing FN, Alt and V, which is that. And then Profile 2, FN, Alt and B. And you can change these profiles by hitting FN, Alt and Control for a few seconds. And then it changes like this. And obviously B for Profile 1, sorry, V for Profile 1, B for Profile 2. So in Profile 1. And then here you use this kind of circle as like to tell you what colour you've got. So what I probably do for this is I'd probably make probably find like a nice pink colour and then make all of the most of the keys that colour. So if I go and do that quick, and then what I'd probably do is I'd probably make WASD a lot redder, so maybe like that, and then I'd probably make the numbers really bright blue, so, well, not bright blue, but like bluer. And then I'd probably, and then if you hit Control and N, I think it sets it. And I'd probably have it, yeah. So I'd probably have it like this. I don't know if I've done that too subtle for the camera to pick up the colour differences. And then for example, like Profile 2, if you wanted to do that, so you need to hit like, sorry. And then, okay, so for this one, what I'd probably do is just like a pattern or something. So, you know, maybe have like, let's do kind of pink. I don't really know what I'm doing. Let's just do around a wonky pattern. This is fine. Can be wonky pattern day. Yeah, fine. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, and then we'll just do every few one. No, I'll make a nice pattern and take a picture and overlay that or something. Oh god, that doesn't look that bad though. That's quite nice. But anyway, if you decided that you don't like the pattern that you've made, you can reset the keyboard by holding FN, Alt, and R, and then just hold that for a few seconds. And here you go, and it will flash a few times, and then that's the keyboard reset. So moving on to the conclusion, when I originally heard about the Ducky Mini, I did think it seemed like quite a decent keyboard, but I was kind of disappointed by the fact that it wasn't going to be RGB, you know, obviously, but also that it wasn't going to have kind of the typical black OEM frame, because I really do love that kind of old school OEM looking keyboard. So I think it's really cute, and you know, as I said before in photos, I think the Ducky Mini kind of looked a little bit plasticky. But, you know, in real life, it's a really beautiful keyboard. And in terms of the lighting options, I don't feel like it currently has any competition when it comes to, you know, other 60% or 10 keyless boards. Obviously, other manufacturers can go and just, you know, make, you know, something similar. Or, of course, with their Cherry MX RGB exclusivity, you can always, you know, turn to smaller keyboards. But given how long the K65's been out and the fact that it's still only available with one colour Cherry MX switch and no backlighting, makes me think that's not really where their focus is. I do think the Ducky needs to release other colours though, given that you've kind of got the option of either red LED backlighting, blue LED backlighting, or a shade of purple or a shade of pink. And I did ask on both Facebook and Twitter what kind of the general opinion was on having purple or pink LED backlighting. And while the majority of people were like, yeah, I'd be happy with purple, there are some people who are just like, no. So I do think they should release other colours. Like I said before, I think green and blue would be a really good one, because then you'd have all the kind of cyany or turquoisey colours to work with. Maybe, you know, green and red as well would be pretty cool. Now, in terms of pricing, I do think the keyboard's at a pretty decent price, you know, given what it is, a 60% keyboard, or, you know, kind of a niche mechanical keyboard with better lighting options than a lot of full-size keyboards out there. You know, I think that's pretty epic. But overall, you know, I really love the keyboard. I think it's really sexy. I think it's got, you know, fantastic lighting options, and I think it's decently priced. And, you know, it's actually the first keyboard that I've looked at that's going to get my Tasty Award, which is like kind of editor's choice. But that was my review of the Ducky Mini. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more of my videos. And thanks for watching.